Do 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 do. Do do do. Yep. If you've ever wanted to know what it was like to be a Jew in the wilderness, you have the feeling now. Get that. Although I don't think they had the air conditioners or maybe the tents though, or the humidity. It's fair. They did have tents. Yeah, they had the tent of meeting. Anyway, We're going to get started in just a moment, everyone. For those of you here, those of you who are watching online, hopefully it's working. We're streaming wirelessly tonight, which is never the best, but hopefully it's working. Great. Looks like it is. Well, Shabbat Shalom, everybody. And those of you who are here in person, I'll say if you want to, throughout the service, you can move your chair around if you find a shadier spot or something. Don't feel like if you park someplace you are obligated to stay there. Very informal out here on the patio tonight. Those of you at home, I guess the same applies to you. If you want to get up and move around, we'll never know. So enjoy that. We're going to begin our service by singing Hine ma tovu menayim shevet achim gam yachad. How good it is that we can gather together in the middle of summer in this beautiful space, blue skies, lush trees, and a lot of goodness around us. Let's join together and sing Hine ma tov. Slide number 1 here.
Hine ma tovu menayim shevet achim gam yachad. 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 Shevet achim gam yachad.
Do we have any brave person who would like to have the mitzvah of lighting, or at least trying to light the Shabbat candles this evening? Anybody want to give it? I saw Luca look at Maddie. I think maybe. Yes. All right. Oh, we do have these. Hold on. Let's see. I don't know if these will fit or not. Oh. We are going to spiritually light the candles. Wait, hold on. We do have actually. Hold on. We have.
What else do we have in there?
We got more stuff in here. Hold on. They've been pre-lit. Perfect. That is better than nothing. Okay. All right. That's right. I was going to throw them under here. All right. That was elegant. Let's say the blessing together in case you didn't hear it. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat. Amen. We're going to turn in just a moment. Mark is going to play Lecha Dodi that we're going to sing along. You can find that on slide number 4 here, or if you're at home with a prayer book on page 20. Before we do that, I want to invite everyone to just perhaps take a breath And there may have been a lot that has accumulated upon your shoulders during this past week. A nice goal of Shabbat is to be able to take just a little bit of that pressure off, to remove the yoke, if just for 24 hours. Find a little bit of joy and peace and comfort and wholeness and goodness. So let's just take a few moments to breathe before we sing Lecha Dodi.
Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala Pnei Shabbat, Nikabla. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala Pnei Shabbat, Nikabla. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Umevorach. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Umevorach.
If you have your slide packet here, we are moving on to page 6, to slide number 6. And if you are able to rise and you can do it relatively comfortably, I'll invite you to do so. If for any reason you are not, please do not feel uncomfortable to stay where you are. Let's join together and sing Am I Awakened to Baruch Hu, page 6 and 7.
Am I awake? Am I prepared? Are you listening to my prayer? Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared? Yada la la la, yada la la la, yada la la la.
East is this way. Let's join together in the Shema. You can find that on slide number 8. The next slide over.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed.
You may be seated.
We'll continue with Ve'ahavta on slide number 9. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני Adonai Elohechem. As you can see on page 11, we are filled with gratitude as we approach Michamocha that God freed us from slavery in Egypt, and we ask, what are we thankful for on this Shabbat? Would anyone like to share something that they are grateful for, some good news, or just that they're thankful for? Yeah. Amazing. Adopting a 105-pound Newfoundland. Wow.
No. It adopted you.
It's true. That's 105 pounds of love, I'm sure, right there. Mazel tov. Yeah. Also, Sam.
Oh,
wonderful. Coming back from EKC. I know we've got some campers returning, so that's really exciting. Thanks, Sam. Anyone else? Yeah. You got a medical test. A medical test that came back very good.
Oh,
wonderful.
Good.
That's great news. Yeah, Karen. You're in a car accident, but you're okay. Car not so much, but you're okay. Yes, a lot to be grateful for there. Yeah, Maddie. Lucas' surgery went very well last week. Mazel tov. Yay.
It was my Misha Barach that put you over.
So glad you're here with us so soon after. Absolutely. Anyone else? Well, with all of those things and all things that we can be grateful for in our lives, we'll turn to slide number 12 with Micha Mocha.
Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha nedar b'kodesh. Kamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh. Nora te'ilot osef eleh, Nora te'ilot osef eleh, Adonai imloch le'olam.
We'll turn to slide 13 with Vishamru. Just as the Jewish people have kept Shabbat, Shabbat has kept the Jewish people.
Vishamru b'nei Israel et HaShabbat, la'asot et HaShabbat, le'tortam berit olam. Shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'doratam berit olam. Beini ubein b'nei Yisrael oti le'olam. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'doratam berit olam. Shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'doratam berit olam. Ubayom hashvi'i Shavat vayinafash Shavat vayinafash Shavat vayinafash V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'doratam berit olam.
We're going to continue together with our Amidah prayers, beginning with Adonai Sifatai. As we said before, if it's comfortable for you to rise, you are welcome to do so. We're on slide 15.
Na 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 Adonai. Na 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 Sfatai tiftach. Na 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 ufi agi tehilatecha. Na 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 Adonai. Na 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 Sfatai tiftach. Na 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 ufi agi tehilatecha. Na 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 Adonai. Na 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 Sfatai tiftach. Na 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 ufi agi tehilatecha. Na 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 Adonai. Na 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 Sfatai tiftach. Na 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 ufi agi tehilatecha.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu Elohei Abraham Elohei Yitzchak v'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel v'Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim Vekonei Hakol V'Zocher Chaste Avot V'Imahot Umevi Geula Livnei V'Nehem Lema'an Shemo Be'ahava Melech Ozer Umoshia Umagin Baruch atah Adonai Magin Avraham Ve'ezrat Sarah אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, בחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע. מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים. סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה. ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל, ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש. You may be seated. And we'll take a few moments to appreciate our prayers silently here in the beautiful outdoors. And perhaps being surrounded by nature can help us better connect with what we're grateful for, with that beautiful feeling of silence and what Shabbat can offer us over the next 24 hours. So aside from the sound of the AC and some guitar, we'll enjoy some quiet moments of internal prayer.
Say shalom, shalom bimromav. Uya say shalom, aleinu ve'yakol Yisrael ve'imru amen. Oh say shalom, shalom bimromav. Uya say shalom. Aleinu ve'yakol Yisrael ve'imru amen. Uyaseh shalom Aleinu ve'yakol Yisrael amen. Oh, say shalom, shalom bimromav. Uya say shalom, aleinu ve'yakol Yisrael ve'imru amen. Ve'yakol Yisrael
Well, Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Uh-oh. What happened?
You had a drum section for a second.
Nice. We'll take it. If you follow the Jewish calendar carefully, you'll note that it's not only Shabbat tonight, but it's also a special Shabbat because later this week we begin the Hebrew month of Av. Any Shabbat that precedes the week in which we welcome a new month is called Shabbat Mivarchim. That's like a piece of trivia that's probably meaningless, but now you know that this is called Shabbat Mivarchim. This is the Shabbat of our blessing as we bless the new month. The month of Av is one of those summer months that many of us rabbis used just to count down to the high holidays and know how far away they are. By the way, Rosh Hashanah on the Jewish calendar is 2 months from this coming Wednesday, so start your preparations and your honey cake baking. I want to mention that the month of Av is more widely known because of the commemoration of the holiday called Tisha B'Av that falls within. Tisha B'Av is a holiday named for the date on which it's observed, kind of like the 4th of July. It's the 9th of Av. Usually happens in July or August. This year it falls on July 27th. Unless you grew up going to Jewish camp or with a more traditional background, it's possible that you may not have ever even heard of this fast day. On its surface, Tisha B'Av is a simple holiday. It commemorates the tragic events in Jewish history that all supposedly happened around the 9th of Av, the most important of which being the destruction of the first and second temples in Jerusalem. It has also, over time, morphed into a day to commemorate the many calamities that have befallen the Jewish people. It's a day where we are encouraged to be mournful, sad, and reflective. Our tradition teaches us that we can only really appreciate life's joys if we acknowledge life's sorrows. Rather than pushing away sorrow, as we are often taught to do in our general culture, Tisha B'Av reminds us that we should embrace our sorrow, that we should really feel it, and that we should deal with it, and that is a necessary part of being a human being. It's a big part of the human experience. Anyone who grows up and loves people is going to feel pain and sorrow, and let's embrace that and learn from it. But Tisha B'Av also has other lessons to teach. One of the most important of those is that we must remember to treat people humanely, and we cannot stand idly by when someone does not. We can't stand by when someone is hurt. We must act. The rabbis were so distraught that the temples were destroyed that they desperately wanted to search for a reason that it happened. Why had this destruction occurred? In their view, if we can understand what we did, what we the Jewish people did to bring about a tragedy like the destruction of the temples, then perhaps we can make sure to act differently in the future and that it will never happen again. One reason they illustrated is with a story. It's a little bit of a weird story, but just come on the journey with me nonetheless for a moment. So there is a wealthy man named Kamza, and he had an enemy named Bar Kamza. There's a wealthy man who had a friend named Kamza and an enemy named Bar Kamza. He was holding a party, and he asked his servant to invite Kamza, the non-enemy. The servant made the mistake and instead invited Bar Kamza, his mortal enemy. Bar Kamza receives the invitation and is so excited to attend the party, thinking perhaps they had buried the hatchet. They had let go of whatever grudge was existing between the two of them. So the party begins, and the guest list includes many rabbis and community leaders, just the fun-filled party everyone I'm sure would want to go to. But nonetheless, Bar Kamza shows up. He sits down at the table. I can kind of imagine him making small talk with people around him, excited to finally be at this party of the person he thought was his enemy. When the host walked in the room and saw Bar Kamza sitting at the table, he said, "What are you doing here? You tell tales about me. Get out." So all we know from the text is maybe Bar Kamza had said something rude about him in the past. We don't know. The man certainly did not want Bar Kamza at his party. Bar Kamza, in front of every single person gathered, all these rabbis and community leaders, says, "If you let me stay, I will pay for what I eat and drink. It'll essentially cost you nothing. Maybe make a buck." The host refused. "Well, then I'll pay for half of the party, half of the entire party if you let me stay," said Bar Kamza. Again, the host thinks for a moment and then refuses. Bar Kamza then says, "Okay, I'm going to up the ante a little bit. If you let me stay, I will pay for this entire party." Even still, the host refused and kicks Bar Kamza out. This must have been a really great party for him to want to stay so badly. Regardless, Bar Kamza was hurt by this. In front of this huge crowd of people, I can imagine him slowly getting up, pushing in his chair delicately, and walking out of the room trying to save whatever face he could. I imagine this kind of palpable silence in the air, this tension could have been cut with a knife. He was publicly humiliated at one of the biggest parties of the year. The next day, Bar Kamza was really, really angry about what had happened to him, so he says to himself, well, since the rabbis who are leaders of the community and so many others of the community were all witness to my humiliation and they did nothing to stop it, they must have approved of how I was treated. I will then go and inform on them to the Roman government. So he went to the emperor and told him that the Jews were rebelling against him. Yes, a very extreme measure for sure. How can I be sure that they are rebelling against me, the emperor asked. He said, send them a calf to sacrifice and see if they'll do it. So the emperor sent a calf with Bar Kamza. On the way, Bar Kamza made a little blemish on the calf, which would make it unfit for sacrifice. Well, the rabbis received it, and they were inclined to sacrifice it so as not to offend the authorities. They knew what was going on here. One rabbi, Rabbi Zechariah, objected, saying, but if we do that, then people will think it's okay to sacrifice unfit animals, and we can't have that. The rabbis gathered there, and I can imagine their talk getting a little crazier and a little darker. And then they said, well, maybe we should just kill Bar Kamza so that he won't report back to the emperor that we didn't offer his sacrifice. Rabbi Zechariah objected, saying, well, but then people will think it's okay to kill people who blemish animals. We don't want that. I guess he forgot about not murdering being one of the 10 commandments. Years later, another rabbi wrote that it was because of the actions of Rabbi Zechariah that the temple was destroyed, that Jerusalem burned, and that the people were exiled. In other words, because the Jewish community had strayed, the temple and Jerusalem were destroyed. So on the surface, it seems like Rabbi Zechariah was doing what he thought was right. He wanted to preserve Jewish tradition and decorum, but in doing so, he forgot to act when Bar Kamza was being humiliated in front of the entire party. He stood idly by as the host of the party publicly insulted Bar Kamza and hurt his feelings. He forgot about the ethical problems of killing someone and thought only about the ritual problems, not wanting someone to kill someone who had blemished an animal. Okay, so this is definitely a weird story. We can all agree on that. But there are some messages of it that I think speak to us today, and this story is very tightly connected to Tisha B'Av. How many of us have been in a situation where we wanted to do what was right, we wanted to stand up for someone, wanted to help someone, but instead we stayed quiet or avoided someone's glance or pushed decline on the phone call or didn't answer the text? One of the really important concepts that our holiday reminds us of is that we are each responsible for healing the world around us. Each of us is responsible for the entire community, if it's something as small as someone being humiliated at a party or as big as a giant issue. Our texts are clear. It's not up to us to completely fix all of the issues around us, but nor are we free to desist from that work either. We celebrate the freedom through our actions. We reach out a hand. We help find someone to guide to a better place. We work on small issues that can help change our world, and that's how it begins. That's what our tradition claims is one of the most important values of Tisha B'Av. Speak up for someone or something that's important to you, and you can make a difference. While our ancient rabbis worked really hard to find a reason for the tragic destruction in the temple and Jerusalem, as well as the many other calamities that befell our people, we know that sometimes in this world, bad things just happen. The wrong person comes to power, or people are led by dark inclinations, or everything seems to be broken. But Tisha B'Av reminds us that we have the power to do what's right, even if it's just a small act. We can bring a sliver of light into the darkness around us, and that hope can endure after no matter how much loss we have felt. So as we begin Tisha B'Av, as we begin the month of Av, looking forward to Tisha B'Av, may we continue to find hope in small but meaningful acts of goodness happening around us. May we take a few moments to, rather than push our sorrow away, to embrace it, to feel those feelings and to learn from them. May we remember that every single person, every single action makes a difference in healing this world. May we, this month of Av, work to find that light that we seek. So Tisha B'Av is on July 27th. I should say we are actually hosting a lunch program that day on the fast holiday, but there will be an option to not eat. But it's a program on that David Levy is providing for us on the Jewish experience of death and mourning. So we thought that is fitting. So however you choose to observe the holiday this year, we hope that you'll find it meaningful and hope that you can take just a lesson or two from this very deep and beautiful holiday. I'm going to turn it back to Rabbi Lynette for Mishaberach.
Yasher Koach, Rabbi. And I can't think of a more fitting prayer to continue with when we think about hope and small acts of kindness that can heal each other and heal the brokenness that others might be feeling or in our world than Misha Berach. So we'll think of those who are in need of healing of body, of mind, of spirit, and then perhaps after the service we can help create that healing, do those acts of kindness with a text, with a call, perhaps a visit, perhaps a hug. Just letting someone know that you're thinking of them can create so much healing for someone. So we'd first like to share names of those in our community who we're thinking of for healing. We're praying for Margie Block, Bruce Cohen, Luca Conley-Care, Dorothy Collins, Ella Dubrow, Luda Kagan, Rick Luckton, Bruce Meislish, Minna Melton, Lisa Pena. We're thinking of Aaron Phelan, Ian Phillips, Rashi Prostowski, Stanley Radin, Rolf Sauer, Ozzy Zimmer, Shelley Zimmerman, and Jessica Rathkopf, and Pam Shear, and anyone else whose name you'd like to add to those in need of healing.
Marilyn Alton.
For all those names that we shared and for all those... Oh, we got some more? Sandy Richmond, Pete Bowman, Tracy Brown. So for all those folks who we're thinking of, for all those whom we thought of, for all those who maybe are still in need of healing, who are not named, let's sing together slide 22, Misha Berach.
Misha Berach Avotenu Bekor HaBrecha Le'imotenu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Misha Berach Imotenu Mikor HaBrecha Le'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen. And let us say Amen.
We're going to begin concluding our service first with Bayom Hahu. On that day, on a day hopefully not too soon, there will be unity and compassion and love. Let's sing together. Mark Rassio original. Bayom Hahu.
Bayom Hahu Yehieh Adonai Echad. Bayom Hahu Yehieh U'Shemo Echad. V'ne'emar, as it is written, V'ne'emar, let it be said, God rules the earth. On that day God shall be one. V'haya Adonai Melech HaKol Haaretz. On that day God's name shall be one. Bayom Hahu Yehieh Adonai Echad. Bayom Hahu Yehieh U'Shemo Echad. U'Shemo Echad.
If you are able, I invite you to please rise as we stand with those who are in mourning, either someone you may have lost recently or someone who you've lost in years past. We remember all of those, and we know that they continue to live on in us, and they live through our stories and our deeds. They live in with us forever. We'll first read the names of those whom we are remembering in Shloshim, whom we've lost in the past month. We remember Marvin Pate, Gary Barnett, and Eva Posner. We're also recalling those whom we lost at this season in years past and are observing Yahrzeit. We remember Shirley Becker, Florence Bricker, Martin Friedlander, Henry Gerson, Rachel Goldberg, Rachel Goldblatt, Edith Gould, Louis Halbrun, R. Wilbur Jenny, Paul Johnson, Greta Kamnitzer, Herbert M. Lewis, Liv Rose Meisterman, Morris Meisterman, Sarah Mossberg Owings, Bruce Partridge, Sam Rich, Margot Rothschild, Mildred Shapira, Ellen Schneer, Leon Seligson, David Sokol, and Lori Renee Strip. I'd like to ask if there are names of others whom you are remembering this evening. For each of them and for those who have no one left to say Kaddish for them, we'll recite Kaddish together. Yit Gadal v'yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah, Be'alma divra chirute v'yamlich malchute, B'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chaye dechol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala uv'izman kari v'imru Amen. Yehi Shemei Rabbah mevarach le'olam ulalmei almaya, Yit barach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shmei dekudesha barichu. Le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechamata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim alenu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Osei shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom. Alenu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us, to Israel, to all the world, and let us say together, Amen. You may be seated. Is Bobby here? Here's Bobby with some announcements.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. As we close this week, I think it's important to acknowledge that Rabbi Lynette had a big week in that she began her term as president of the Columbus Board of Rabbis. So, shkoyach, and thank you for your leadership on behalf of our community. A couple of events coming up in the next couple of days. Sunday is Men's Club Poker here at the Temple at 7 p.m. So if you're feeling lucky, please join the Men's Club, 7 p.m. on Sunday here at the Temple. And on Tuesday, the 18th at 11 a.m. at the Temple, Rabbi Lynette will be leading a deep dive into Jewish mysticism. For all of these events and more, please check out the e-window or give the Temple office a call. With that, Shabbat Shalom, and thank you for making TBS your Jewish home. Rabbi?
Can we invite Ira to, I saw an almost shake of the head no, to have some steaming hot Manischewitz. Everybody's favorite. Everyone's favorite. And then, yeah, you can fake it. Why don't we do our closing song, and then we'll do Kiddush after that while Ira's getting ready here. O Javo Shalom Aleinu. May there be a time when goodness will reign upon us. Peace.
O Javo Shalom Aleinu, O Javo Shalom Aleinu, O Javo Shalom Aleinu, Be'akulam. O Javo Shalom Aleinu, O Javo Shalom Aleinu, O Javo Shalom Aleinu, Be'akulam. Salam Aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam, salam. O Javo Shalom Aleinu, O Javo Shalom Aleinu, O Javo Shalom Aleinu, Ve'akulam. O Javo Shalom Aleinu, Ojavo Shalom Aleinu, Ojavo Shalom Aleinu, Ve'akulam, Salam, Aleinu Ve'akulam, Salam, 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 Aleinu Ve'akulam, Salam, Salam. Ojavo Shalom Aleinu, Ojavo Shalom Aleinu, Ojavo Shalom Aleinu Ve'akulam.
Thank you, Mark and Ange, for the beautiful music tonight. I'll hand it over to almost Rabbi Ira.
Very cute. All right, together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. It doesn't get better warm. That's right. I'm taking one for the team. All right. Hamotzi lechem min haaretz. We give thanks to God for bread. Our voices rise in song together as our joyful prayer is said. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
By the way, if you liked this little bit of Ira, next week Ira's leading more of the service with Rabbi Lynette, so come and support them, and that'll be great. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. There's an oneg in the air conditioning inside there, and we'll see everyone soon. Shabbat Shalom.
She's a power.